Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Thursday, July 17th. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Texas game in 44 days, the game against Michigan in 135 days. If you're planning your next event, make it unforgettable with Grateful Griddle, Columbus's favorite food truck, serving up smash burgers, gourmet sandwiches, and good vibes. Book your catering today at GratefulGriddleOH.com. We are counting down the days till Big Ten Media Days. Those start next Tuesday. We'll be out in Las Vegas for all 3 days of the action. Should be plenty to talk about there. But that's not the first media days on the calendar for college football. SEC media days going on this week, and that, of course, includes the Texas Longhorns, Ohio State's season opening opponent. And the Texas Longhorns had a few things to say about that game against Ohio State, what it could mean, and much, much more. So we're going to be letting you hear all the stuff that they had to say about Ohio State, as well as a couple other interesting sound bites of note, I guess, from the week. So let's start with Texas head coach Steve Sarkisian. They have a chance to play Ohio State again in week 1 after ending their season against the Buckeyes in the Cotton Bowl last year. What does that mean to the Longhorns?
Yeah, I think, the competitor in you loves the opportunity because it's like, well, that's the next chance is the same sting that you felt. The reality of it is when you really dive deep into it, we're different teams again. We're a different team. They're a different team. A lot of new faces, transfers, different players, different coaches, different coordinators. And so once you get over the emotion of being excited to play that same team again and you drill down to the tactical part of it all, which is, man, we got a lot of work to do. This is a very talented team. They got new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. We've got some new coaches that we're getting acclimated to what we're doing. We've got new faces, new players that we're going to be counting on, some transfers and things. You start to shift the focus away from the emotional side and you start drilling into, this is going to be a good team. It's going to be a tough environment. We're going to need to play good football that day to come out on top. And so that's where our focus goes to. And I think our players in the same vein. The competitor in you is easy. Yeah, we want to go win that game. We want to go avenge the loss. But the reality is this is a whole new year and different set of circumstances obviously on the table, but obviously recognizing and respecting that this is a heck of an opponent. It's going to be a great challenge.
Next up is Texas safety Michael Taaffe. He was asked where Jeremiah Smith ranks among all of the athletes that he's competed against over the years.
I can't even rank him yet because I got to play him again. But what he does on that football field, it doesn't seem like a real human's doing that because he's just so unique. He's inspirational and all the talent, and he's still only 19 years old. And so it's going to be really fun going against him because he's a freak of nature. I've watched a lot of his routes, almost all of them, dang near from last year, and seeing how he gets in and out of breaks, seeing how he runs full speed, seeing how he stacks DBs, and then obviously the best thing about him and one of his attributes is going up and getting the football. So you can put 3 DBs on him, but if you give it up in the air, he's going to go get it, which is really, really cool.
Now, a quick one from linebacker Anthony Hill, just about the chance to face Ohio State again after losing to the Buckeyes in the college football playoff semifinals last year.
It was a tough loss, but that was last season. We have a whole new team, so we just want to go out there and be 1-0 next year, and that's all we're going to focus on, just being 1-0, and then we're going to handle everything else when the time comes.
Arch Manning was there at SEC Media Days. He was not asked about the Buckeyes, so no Arch Manning here, but he was a topic of conversation. Arch, of course, the new starting quarterback for the Texas Longhorns, taking over for Quinn Ewers. Steve Sarkisian was just asked about Manning taking over that starting role and what he's seen from his new starting quarterback.
Yeah, I think that, naturally for a player, especially like Arch is a great teammate. And he's humble. He's got great work ethic. He's very relatable to the guys. And I felt like coming into this year, and I think Arch would be the first one to tell you, one of the more challenging things to do is when you're a great teammate and you're working hard, but you haven't been that frontline guy yet, is how do you take on that authoritative state when you haven't yet done it, right? And what we've had to explain to him was, you've earned it. He's earned it. He's earned the respect of his teammates that way. And so I think now more than ever, there hasn't been some, gigantic thing that he's had to do, but you feel his presence much more on a regular basis that way. but you feel it in a way where it's authentic to him. And he's not trying to be something that he's not. And I think that that's probably the most key component in his growth as we've been going through it.
NIL, the house settlement, all that impact on recruiting, that's going to be a hot topic, I'm sure, at college football media days across the country, including Big Ten media days next week. Texas is sort of in that same group with Ohio State, where they've maybe been a little bit more cautious to a certain degree, not throwing money around quite as much as the USCs of the world, at least in the early going. So Steve Sarkisian was asked, with changes to NIL, how has his program handled things with regard to third-party NIL deals under the new house settlement? I thought this was a really interesting answer.
Well, I think that's unique because the changes are still going on, and so we tried to be forward thinking. Naturally what we've tried to do is submit as many third-party NIL deals as we can to see what's getting passed and what isn't, and we're starting to get some of those things back. And so the point being, I think it's a slippery slope when you rely upon third-party NIL deals as part of a revenue share, as part of a publicity rights, or as part of a contract with a player. Because if those deals get denied, now that money's coming out of your cap. If you go over your cap, now me as the head coach, I get punished. And I don't want to be suspended. They pay me pretty good money to stand on the sidelines and coach our guys. And so we have to be mindful of that. And so we're probably taking a little bit more of a conservative approach than maybe others, and that's okay. Everybody's going to attack this thing a little bit differently. But like I said, we've got a really good roster today. And I think we're going to have a really good roster the next year. And my goal is that we're going to continue to have really good rosters for years to come. And part of that is recruiting new players. Part of that is retaining the players that we do have. Part of that is recruiting players out of the portal. But to do that, we've got to be mindful of the resources that we have available, and not overextend ourselves and to make promises and writing checks that can't be cashed.
And finally, this is actually Sark's opening statement from his first portion. This is a separate interview than the one you saw earlier. This is when he was sort of up in front of the whole room, not in a breakout session. But just this is his opening statement where he just kind of goes through his overall thoughts on the team, the roster, changes to know since last season. And I mean, I'm going to be real honest. This is just kind of a laundry list of stuff. But it is kind of interesting because with Ohio State fans having some familiarity with Texas and that Texas roster, he does go through and talk pretty thoroughly about areas where they have guys back and names you're probably going to recognize, as well as where they brought some guys in through the transfer portal, and then areas where they have a lot of guys to replace that are probably going to be maybe somewhat areas of concern for the team this year. So again, it's a little bit of a long answer, but I think there's a lot of good information in here that you guys will probably enjoy.
I do think we have a very hungry football team, one that is talented. I really like our roster. We've strung together now 3 really good recruiting classes of very talented people, but really good people that I think represent the University of Texas the right way. I really feel like we've navigated the portal well through 3 years, and this year was no different. I think we filled needs on our roster where players can have an impact on our team immediately, not just to fill roster spots. But I think this is a championship roster. Now, we've got to play like a championship team, but I do think it's a championship roster. Starting on the defensive side of the ball, we brought Anthony Hill and Michael Taft with us today, both All-American players for us. But it goes well beyond those two. We've got great depth on the defensive side of the ball. Manny Muhammad, Colin Simmons, Murad Watson, Trey Moore, Brad Spence, Ethan Burke, Travis Shaw, Cole Brevard, Jalen Gilbo, Jelani McDonald, Derek Williams, just to name a few, Leonga Lafau. So this is probably the deepest and most talented defense that we've had. And we've made incremental growth on the defensive side of the ball now through 4 years, and we're going to need to do that again. I think championships are won on the defensive side of the ball, and we've got a defensive football team that we're very excited about. From a special teams perspective, the one thing I love is that we've got all seniors. I've got a senior long snapper, a senior holder, senior punter, senior kicker, senior kickoff guy. And so the experiences that they've had and what they've been through, I think is going to serve us well as this season goes on. So we're excited about that unit. And then obviously offensively is probably where we've had the most turnover. We've got a new quarterback, Arch Manning, if you didn't know. He's replacing Quinn, who had a great 3 years for us, but we're replacing a lot of offensive linemen. We're replacing receivers, tight ends, but that unit is really good. We're returning the leading rusher in the SEC in Trey Wisner, which some of you probably don't even know that, but bring that to your attention. We get Cedric Baxter back with the addition of Jarrett Gibson, who played a ton as a true freshman for us, along with Christian Clark in that room. The receiving core is one we're really excited about. We've had receivers drafted in the first round in the last 2 years draft, but this group is really good. DeAndre Moore is kind of the leader of that group, who played a ton for us last year in the slot. Ryan Wingo was a true freshman last year, who probably in a lot of other schools probably had more opportunities, but when you had the room we had, he was very efficient, had a bunch of catches in critical moments for us. We're excited about him. We brought in Emmett Mosley, a transfer from Stanford, who had 50 catches there as a true freshman at Stanford, who we're excited about, to go along with a really good recruiting class and a group of young guys, Parker Livingstone leading that charge of younger players in that room. And then at tight end, we lost a really good player in Gunnar Helm. We brought in Jack Endries from Cal, who was a great player there, with an uptick of young players, Jordan Washington, Spencer Shannon, to go along with Amari Winston and Nick Townsend. We're excited about that group. And on the offensive line, we're replacing 4 starters. DJ Campbell being the one coming back, but Cole Hudson's played a ton of football for us. We found out a lot about Trevor Gooseby last year. He played in some big-time games against some big-time fronts. We're excited about him. But the beauty of when you have that group the way that we had it for the last few years, we had a chance to develop offensive linemen. And that's one thing that you really love to do, is develop those players throughout their time and not throw them into the fire. So we're really excited about that group and what they can do. Now, their continuity and the quicker they can gel and grow together is going to be critical. From a staff perspective, I think one of the keys for us is staff continuity. We've had turnover at position coaches, but we've had the same offensive coordinator, the same defensive coordinator, same special teams coordinator, and same head coach now for 5 straight years, which I think has been big for us. Because we know our schedule is going to be really challenging. We've got road games at Ohio State, at Georgia, at Florida, at Kentucky, which are all going to be very difficult environments to play in, not to mention playing in the Red River rivalry in Dallas every year against Oklahoma, and then playing at home against a couple traditional rivals again with Arkansas and A&M. So we'll be the most traveled team in the SEC this year, which is a great challenge for us. We're looking forward to it.
Well, that is just sort of dipping a toe into what the college football media days landscape looks like, sort of the Ohio State focused end of the SEC media days. If you want more from SEC media days, the Saturday Glory YouTube channel that is sort of a partner of ours, there's a ton of coverage there, lots of interviews with players and coaches and SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey and much, much more. You can find that all on the Saturday Glory YouTube channel. We will have plenty of coverage from Big Ten Media Days there as well, but of course all the Ohio State coverage that you have come to know and expect, well, that'll all be on the Buckeye Huddle YouTube channel coming up next week. We will have plenty of coverage from Las Vegas about the Buckeyes, with the Buckeyes, people talking about the Buckeyes, all that kind of fun stuff. We'll be out there for 3 days, going to get a chance to talk to everyone in the Big Ten, plus TV partners, plus officials, plus conference leadership, plus hopefully probably college football playoff leadership. We generally come away from those with an absolute boatload of information on all sorts of stuff that informs our views of college football for the coming year. So we will have plenty of coverage out there from Las Vegas all week long next week. That'll be at youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle and, of course, at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.